The last time I saw him, Carlos Carballo was climbing with difficulty into a police van, his hands cuffed behind his back and his head hunched down between his shoulders, while a news ticker, running along the bottom of the screen, reported the reason for his arrest: the attempted theft of the serge suit of an assassinated politician. It was a fleeting image, spotted by chance on one of the late-night newscasts, after the loudmouth assault of the commercials and shortly before the sports update. And I remember having thought that thousands of television viewers would be sharing that moment with me. But only I could say without lying that I wasn't surprised. He was arrested in front of the former home of liberal leader Jorge Eliezer Gaitan, now a museum, where armies of visitors arrive every year to come into brief and vicarious contact with the most famous political crime in Colombian history. The serge suit was the one Gaitan was wearing on April 9, 1948, the day Juan Roa Sierra, a young man with vague Nazi sympathies who had flirted with Rosicrucian sects and often conversed with the Virgin Mary, awaited him as he left his office and shot him 4 times at close range in the middle of a busy street in the broad daylight of a Bogota lunchtime. The bullets left holes in the jacket and the waistcoat, and people who know that visit the museum just to see those dark, empty circles. Carlos Carballo, it might have been thought, was one of those visitors. That happened on the second Wednesday of April in the year 2014. It seems Carballo had arrived at the museum around 11 in the morning and for several hours had been wandering through the house like a worshiper in a trance, or standing with his head tilted in front of the books on criminal law, or watching a documentary with stills of burning tram cars and irate people with raised machetes shown repeatedly over the course of the day. He waited for the last group of uniformed school children to leave before going up to the second floor, where a glass case protected the suit Gaitan was wearing on the day of his assassination. And then he began to shatter the thick glass with a knuckle duster. He managed to put his hand on the shoulder of the midnight blue jacket, but he didn't have time for anything else. The second-floor guard, alerted by the crash, was pointing his pistol at him. Carballo noticed then that he'd cut himself on the broken glass of the case and began to lick his fingers like a stray dog. But he didn't seem too worried. On television, a young girl in a white blouse and tartan skirt summed it up. It was as if he had been caught painting on a wall. All the newspapers the next day referred to the frustrated robbery. All of them were surprised, hypocritically shocked, that the myth of Gaitan still awoke such passion 66 years after the events. And some made the comparison for the umpteenth time to the Kennedy assassination, the 50th anniversary of which had been marked the previous year without the slightest diminution of its power to fascinate. All of them remembered, in case anyone had forgotten, the unforeseen consequences of the assassination. The city set on fire by the populist protest, the snipers stationed on the rooftops firing indiscriminately, and the country at war in the years that followed. The same information was repeated everywhere, with more or less subtlety and more or less melodrama, sometimes accompanied by images including those of the furious crowd, which had just lynched the murderer, dragging his half-naked corpse along the cobblestones of Carrera Septima in the direction of the presidential palace. But on no media outlet could you find a speculation, as gratuitous as it might be, about the reasons a man who wasn't mad might have for deciding to break into a glass case in a guarded house and make off with the bullet-ridden clothing of a famous dead man. Nobody posed that question, and our media memory gradually began to forget Carlos Carballo. Swamped by everyday violence, which doesn't give anyone time to even feel discouraged, Colombians allowed that inoffensive man to fade away like a shadow at twilight. Nobody thought of him again.